Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful individual. Today, I would like to speak a little about self-acceptance and healing comes from inner work. When you practice spirituality, meditating, uniting with yourself, and more or less becoming your emotions, you get to experience the full brunt of your inner being. In many cases, this is very uncomfortable, obviously, because we do have many scars, should we call them? Every human being does, some with less degrees than others. Some have to fight more for things than others. Some can be a little more laid back. Others have maybe different paths to take. There is a whole lot of variation and variables when it comes to a human being. And grabbing a hold onto your own emotions, getting to know them by becoming them, only by becoming and feeling them brunt on directly can you get to understand them. You can't observe an emotion from outside and get to understand them, because these emotions are beings that requires experiencing to transform them to something that is more healing. The healing that comes from within is for you to be able to experience and to express yourself in as true and honorable, honest manner as possible. Of course, we do also have different faculties than only our physical body and five senses. We do have thinking, feeling, willing, we have imagination, inspiration, we have intuition, we have our ego, we have our astral body, we have our etheric body, and we have our physical body. And all intertwine with each other, but are still their own kind of thing in a sense. And all of these are a wholeness to them, should we say. By being aware, here and now, observing and experiencing, just feel without putting any connotation or any kind of opinion, and just feeling it gets you to understand the feeling. If we fight against it with our own opinion, we delude it in a sense. We fight against it and can't completely comprehend it, is the best way to describe it. Running away from it never helps either. But by sitting with it, I call it handling and sitting in the hurricane, in the blizzard, calm and collected as best as possible, no matter what might happen. Of course, we do have our weak moments. We do have the moments where we are more downtrodden, where we need a little extra care from ourselves. And that is where this is perfectly in line. You need to care for yourself. The self-care and self-acceptance comes from inner work, comes from knowing you, comes from transforming your otherwise exposed weaknesses to strengths and quirks and personality traits in a sense. By not being ashamed of ourselves, by grabbing a hold of what we are ashamed of, recognizing it, acknowledging it, and transform it. You will over time build a new standard and a higher and a more dedicated way of living. It is, you grab a hold, in a sense, of your own life and your own present moment without being too obsessed with you as you. It is kind of melding around and being wondrous and reverent to everything that is happening around you and within you. The best times to do this is when you are in a better mood, in a sense, where you are more balanced and you do not attack anything that comes to you, because that happens too. When we are tired and weak and have little willpower left to exert, we are very easy to be annoyed and irritable, just like children. But we are less inclined to act upon it always. When we are alone, it is not always like that. If you are ashamed of yourself and some of your quirks and unique personality, all you need do is getting to know yourself and be grateful for yourself. The less you are grateful, the more you take your life for granted and who you are for granted, the more detached and disconnected you become from your own being, from your own troubles, from your own joys and pleasures too. That is not what we follow in life. We are not hedonists like that. But we do follow the joys and the beauty of life when it presents itself. We are in a constant exploration and studying of everything around us and within us. And the more you grab a hold onto being this kind of scientist, as I call it, spiritual scientist, you infuse your life and reality around you with life, warmth, and light. It becomes so much more sublime than we otherwise see in the lifeless shapes and forms and movements outside with our five senses. We need our imagination and our inner faculties for thinking, feeling, willing, imagination, inspiration, and intuition to actually lift up the otherwise dead, sense-perceptible world to the sublime, to the idealistic, to the spiritual. When you do so over time and try to find out where things lie, what is behind this, you start slowly but surely to grow into be able to perceive them. But you have to believe and have faith that it's there. Once it's there, once you have acknowledged and gotten to know, well, they show themselves in many different forms also, and it is kind of like a puzzle. It is kind of like what's it called? A puzzle to be solved. You have to solve what they are trying to communicate with you. And every individual human being are communicated to differently. By becoming aware of your inner being, your inner self-love. And when I mean self-love, I mean love for, when I talk about the self, I talk about everyone's self. Everyone's unique self. We are all having the same I, but we are individualized to experience things separately. We are still sharing that same I we are given from the higher realms. And once you know this and you see a reflection, you are reflected in another and another is reflected in you. You start to see that beautiful, beautiful cobweb, infinite cobweb that reflects everything around you. And you start to get to feel that beautiful warmth and the sublime, beautiful nature that comes from behind everything you experience, behind your senses, behind your thinking, feeling, and willing, behind your experiencing as a whole, and how much you get to know yourself and all your different abilities. You have to find out that for yourself. I am only here to instigate within you different kinds of thinking, to allow you to be more aware of your surroundings and your inner being. The more you include yourself in everything you do, the more deep and involved life becomes. You do not exclude yourself away and just see the world as the world without you. You are the world. We can't even begin to comprehend what the universe looks like without us there. We have built up an instrument to perceive the physical universe. Without this instrument, well, all limitations is removed and the universe is. Think about that for a moment. Our bodies and senses help limit down, condensing down the spirit so that we can experience these individualized lives, so that we can create freedom. Freedom in morals, freedom in inner choice, freedom in love and warmth. And once we have overcome this, and once we have truly gotten to know who we are and become both individualized and whole at the same time, is the best picture to describe it with, is when we leave the physical and become more fine than condensed. We release ourselves to become more spiritual beings. We have come from sublime heights, condensed down, and now we are meant to spiritualize this dead matter with our own being. And by doing so, we truly get to give life to the universe around us, giving it the respect it deserves, giving it the love and beauty it deserves. Thanks to everyone. I love you so much. Thanks for listening to me. Thank you for you being you. Thank you for you keeping being you. And finding your own inner strength and authority. And following your own inner soul impulses. Not being dragged everywhere by everyone. Because most people haven't found out quite where they were going yet. But the more you find out from your own inner soul impulses, honestly, lovingly, fighting against those forces that might make you kind of a scoundrel and a scallywag. It's allowed to be a little to be a little mischievous, as long as it is not destructive. But we do have within us many beings that affects our moods and will to react. Let's take it like that. And when we grab a hold of that reaction and boom out, brings karma. That's normal, that's obvious, because it was kind of an attack on the thing, and it is nothing wrong in it. We all human beings do this in the end. But to strengthen yourself to stand in that blizzard, in that hurricane, and not letting yourself react. Now that is what we aspire to be that, to become that pillar, to become that inspiration. So everyone can become that inspiration. You are meant to too. Thanks everyone. I love you. Thank you. May you be blessed and may you be graced by God, Holy Spirit, and Christ, and the hierarchy. I love you all. Goodbye.